As Nigerian lawyers gather in Calabar, the capital of Cross River State, for the week-long annual General Conference of the Nigerian Bar Association, Law Weekly looks at the theme of the conference, Law, Leadership and Challenges of Nationhood in the 21st Century Nigeria. Our interview segment features the Attorney General of Kaduna State in north-central Nigeria, who speaks to us about some law and leadership issues in the state. But first, here's a recap of some of the top legal stories in the news. I'm Shala Sheyele, and this is Law Weekly on Channels Television. We begin with the report that the federal government last week approached the Court of Appeal to challenge a judgment of the National Industrial Court, which formed the basis of the health workers' strike in the country. The National Industrial Court on the 23rd of July had ruled that it was unjust and illegal for the Federal Ministry of Health to insist that members of the Joint Health Sector Unions (JOHESU) must pass through the Consolidated Health Salary Structure (CONHES) 10 grade level in their career progression. With that judgment, the workers won the battle, but the 2-year war for skipping CONHES 10 did not abate, as the Ministry of Health was said to have remained adamant despite the court ruling. The Minister of Health, Professor Onyebuchi Chukwu, told journalists last week that government decided to appeal the judgment of the National Industrial Court because the court verdict was very confusing and contradictory.
So government feels strongly that in order not to jeopardize public good, in this case, that there are grounds actually for things to be clarified.
From health issues to politics, the Federal High Court in Abuja last week Thursday fixed the 27th of August to hear a suit against the conduct of an election into the office of the National Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. Professor Wale Oladipo, the incumbent National Secretary, had approached the court seeking to stop the National Executive Committee, NEC, from conducting fresh elections into the office. Through his lawyer, he told the court that there were moves by the national officers of the party led by the national chairman, Alhaji Bamanga Tuko, to conduct elections to an office that is already occupied. The election was scheduled for the 24th of August. The court's action compelled the PDP's NEC last Thursday to suspend the Southwest Zonal Congress slated for the date. He directed the party's National Working Committee to go through the court process and to set a new date for the Congress when concluded. From PDP politics to ABGAS, an Abuja High Court has dismissed the suit by the former Central Bank Governor Professor Charles Soludo, seeking to reverse his disqualification by the screening committee of the All Progressive Grand Alliance (ABGA) ahead of the governorship elections in Anambra State. Justice Peter Afren struck out Professor Soludo's case after agreeing with the submissions of the lawyer to ABGA that the mode of commencement of Professor Soludo's suit was defective, as it is only applicable in judiciary and quasi-judiciary matters and not in political matters. The former CBN governor had commenced the suit by an order of certiorari. The court also held that the issue of who becomes a candidate of a political party is the internal affair of political parties. Professor Soludo and 5 other governorship aspirants were disqualified by ABGA from vying on its platform for the November 16, 2013 Anambra governorship elections. Away from the courts, the Ikeja branch of the Nigerian Bar Association, led by its chairman, last week Wednesday held a press briefing which dwelt on some issues affecting the nation. The issues range from the state of insecurity to extrajudicial killings, the crisis in Rivers State, the much talked about deportation of Nigerians within Nigeria, the state of infrastructure in Lagos State, and the ASU strike.
This strike that has kept students in public universities at home for many weeks is a blow to our educational system, which has deteriorated so much that no Nigerian university today is currently listed in the top 100 universities in the world, and only a few Nigerian universities have made the top 100 in Africa. We are confused with the priorities of this government.
After addressing national issues, the NBA Ikeja also sent this message to the Lagos State government.
Lagos State government must be reminded that Ikeja remains the capital of Lagos State. We desire network of good roads, overhead bridges, flyovers, light rail, street lighting as minimum infrastructures of a proposed mega state capital. which presently is not the case. In some instances, where road constructions are awarded in Ikeja, less competent contractors are usually chosen. The resultant effect is that the roads constructed in Ikeja, the state capital, do not last long. However, the contrast is the case with Lagos Island.
You see, life has just got easier. You stay connected to Channels TV, where news and innovations are shaping our world. Simply log on to channelstv.com to get the breaking news. Browse the homepage according to what matters to you. Tap on the extended coverage of business, sports, politics, lifestyle, infotech, entertainment, health, world news, and lots more. Click on the live link and see the news in real time. Do you want to watch the latest video of the day? It's just a click away. Friend us on Facebook, YouTube, follow us on Twitter, Google+, participate in Channels TV poll and share your comments. It's a website you can talk to. Your voice will be heard. ChannelsTV.com. The news at your fingertips.
Welcome back. Last week, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Mr. Okewale, and some senior members of the bar sat down with members of the press in Abuja to unveil the theme of the annual General Conference for this year. Mr. Okewale, senior advocate of Nigeria, says the theme is apt and in tandem with current realities in the country today.
The theme of the conference is law, leadership, and challenges of nationhood in the 21st century Nigeria. The keynote speaker for this year's conference is Professor Jonah Elaigu. We believe that the challenges facing Nigeria as a nation lies in the absence of the appropriate legal framework that will trigger off credible, free, and fair elections and economic development. All of this will lead to accountable and exemplary leadership.
The country could sure do with more accountability and exemplary leadership. On our interview segment, the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice in Kaduna State, Mr. Jonathan Kish Adamo, is our guest. He'll speak about the challenge of security, what's happening with the Child Rights Bill in the state, and much more. Let me start by asking if you're going to be at the next NBA conference, the one holding in Calabar.
I should be.
Okay. Now, the theme of that conference is law, leadership, and challenges of nationhood in the 21st century Nigeria. What are your thoughts about that theme?
Law, leadership, and the challenge of leadership.
The challenges of nationhood.
Nationhood
in the 21st century Nigeria.
Well, law and leadership substantially go together. For you to be effective as a leader, you would have to apply the law. Now, you hear often people talk about the rule of law, and that's basically what drives a society. When President Yar'Adua was alive, and he kept talking about the rule of law, I was very excited. I said, now we have a leader who has been able to put a finger on the problem of this country. So leadership, effective leadership goes with law. You use law as an instrument of social change. If you want to implement government policy, you make laws, and then those laws have to be enforced. So if you don't have effective laws, if you don't have effective enforcement of the laws, then society cannot be driven the way it should, and then there will be a failure of leadership. In Lagos State, I have seen some slight change in the attitude of motorists.
Yeah.
And I think it's because
of
they get arrested.
Yes.
So you would see some progress being made. So leadership, effective leadership, and law go hand in hand.
Talking about leadership in Nigeria, security is still a major challenge, especially in the northern part of the country. Now, I know that a few days ago we read that some police officers were killed in Kaduna State. Let me ask, what is the state government doing, Kaduna State now? You are the Attorney General. What is the state government doing internally, to help combat this terrorism, whole security challenge? I know that as part of the moves to combat terrorism, the state government recently said, or was it recently or some months back, said it was going to ban the motorcycle riders, but what is happening in that direction, and also to deal with the whole security challenge?
Okay. Well, the problems of security in Kaduna State, not just Kaduna, Nigeria at large, as it affects Kaduna State, have been on for some time. But you will notice recently that we haven't had any major breach of security since last year. And it's actually because of the level of work, the quantity of work, the level of effort being put in by the state government and the security agencies that I must commend at this time. From last year, when the army facility was attacked in Jaji, we haven't had any until recently. 2 attacks, one
You're
police
talking
station.
about Kaduna State now?
Yes, Kaduna State.
Okay.
One explosion in one attack at the police station in Kaura, incidentally where I come from, and then the second one in Kajuru just a couple of days ago. The security agencies, with the support of the government, has been very active, has been very alert to their responsibilities. You would, if you come to Kaduna, you will still see that there's a high level of security presence, visible security presence. People had tended to feel that, calm had returned. Yes, on the surface you could see that, and it's because of the level of work that is going on. We've been a bit fortunate that we get some good intelligence that has been used to thwart attacks. If you recall, about 2 years ago, when some bombs were planted on the rail line. Now that particular attack was aimed at a school, was behind a school. It was almost under a bridge and a major road. So you can imagine the level of destruction that would have been done. We got intelligence, and then the device was identified, and then the threat was removed. And a lot of that is happening right now, quietly. The security agencies are not sleeping. The police, we have been helping them with the kind of resources that they need to work.
But I wanted you to talk to us about the Okada ban bill. It's as if there's some delay with passing that. What's happening exactly?
Well, I think for strategic reasons, government had to look at that issue properly. And I think that it was we hadn't sent a bill yet to the House. And then the information in the media was that
the bill had
that a law had been passed,
yes,
and that Kaduna State was going to ban Okada riders and so on.
In fact, at some point it was the State House of Assembly that was delaying the passage of the bill. There's been so much conflicting reports in the media.
At that time, it was a discussion was going on.
Okay.
We were looking at the options. One option was to ban, but if you have followed Kaduna State recently, we are trying to improve public transportation. We have provided about 700 tricycles, to ease transportation. If you want to do a ban of Okada riders, you need to, because they're providing a service.
So you need to provide
an alternative.
Yes.
If you ban, then how are people going to go to work?
Yes.
How are they going to carry out their business? So we're laying more emphasis on providing an alternative for people before we get to the level of thinking of doing a ban.
Okay.
Now, the governor is very compassionate, is very concerned about the welfare of the people. And his view, which I share as a leader of the government, is that there must be alternatives for people before you talk about a ban. Because this Okada riders, it's not only a means of transportation for the public, it's also a means of livelihood for the people. So we must provide alternatives for them first before we get to that level of doing a ban.
Recently, we also heard that the Kaduna State Governor assented to a law establishing a vigilante service in the state. And there are some people who have said that, is this not a form of state police?
Well, you know that in Nigeria, you have vigilante services operating in virtually every state of Nigeria, in one form or the other. Now, the underworld framework today operates. You don't want to have a quasi-security outfit in the state that people see, they go about doing their business without any legal backing. And so what we wanted to do is to be able to bring some level of control to what these vigilantes would do. And so my ministry prepared a bill which was sent to the House, and it was passed into law. Now that bill basically establishes a vigilante service, provides for the structure, the management of that, and a lot of that is overseen by the current security agencies. It's a volunteer service.
Okay, it's a volunteer service.
Yes. They do not bear arms. They do not detain. If they arrest, they hand over to the relevant security agencies.
But does Kaduna support the call for state police anyway?
Well, the Northern Governors Forum has taken a position, and the Kaduna State Governor is a member of the Northern Governors Forum. I think that the position tends towards giving more operational autonomy to the state police commands and increasing the level of authority that the governor could exercise over the police. But beyond that, I don't think that the Northern Governors Forum adopted a policy of state police. So that is the position that we have in Kaduna
What
State.
about local government autonomy? The APC governors are against it. What are the Northern governors? Are they for or against local government autonomy?
Well, we haven't debated the issue of local government autonomy in Kaduna State in terms of taking a position, or the Northern governors taking a position. But let me say that our governors have been quite fair in dealing with the local government councils. The current governor has ensured that the local governments get all the funds that are due to them. You know, and in fact, the interesting thing is that the local governments got the most funds that they could get under any administration when the current governor was Commissioner of Finance in Kaduna State. My personal opinion on all of this is different, you know, but the governor has been very supportive of the local governments having their funds, not withholding the funds.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us your personal
My
opinion.
personal opinion. Well, you know, we run a federation.
Yes.
You know, and then so if you talk about a third tier of government, like the local governments having autonomy, I don't know the kind of autonomy people are talking about. So are you going to have another level of government? I wouldn't have somebody under my state. You know, I don't see how in Kaduna State or any other state you would have a local government authority, some kind of authority under you that is autonomous. I don't think that would make sense. So the most important thing is to see that the local governments get their resources and that they use those resources effectively. But to create a third tier of government that is outside the state, that is beyond the state, I don't know the kind of federalism that we would practice. So it would look like my position is similar to that of the APC governors.
I want us to talk, there's this law and order issue I want us to talk about, the rights of the child. I don't know, talk to us about what played out in Kaduna State, especially when there was this issue of Section 29, subsection 4, the deletion or not of at the Senate, and whether the Senate was trying to legitimize underage marriage and all of those defenses put up by Senator Yerima that children, well, that a girl of 13 years could be married. It's in accordance with Islamic rights and all of that. Talk to us about what played out in the state at that time. How did the people react? You know,
well, it wasn't an issue for us in Kaduna State. It was something that the National Assembly was dealing with. I don't think that the people of Kaduna State, there was much public reaction to it. It was just one of those things you read in the news in a normal course of activities. And the reason I say that is that the National Assembly were doing their work. We have the State House of Assembly, And so the issue is still an issue that when it comes to the State House of Assembly, and then we feel a need to take a position, the natural thing would be for the executive and civil society to lobby the State House of Assembly to either vote in support or against that. So it's something that is still in the future, and I would not like to speculate about that. We don't even know how that will end from the National Assembly. Now, the issue of age in Islam in terms of marriage is not the way we see it in English law. It's a little bit more flexible, and the age for marriage is a little bit lower than you would have in other societies. So, and I think in a way our laws allow for customary law marriage, and the rules of such would apply. The mischief was really the Senate. I think the issue may have been handled differently, probably by the senator. At the point that the issue came up, he was, we are told, a member of the committee, and so a lot of his work, his comment would have been at the level of the committee, you know. So I just feel that it was an unnecessary controversy.
I think it's good that it came to the fore and people could debate it, because you say that Islamic law is liberal and...
No, I didn't say it's liberal. I said in terms of the age for marriage,
yeah,
its view is a little bit different from what we have in English law. In Islam, people marry at a much lower age, you know, and it's legal in Islam. And so it depends on your own, how you see it. Now, my own views would be a bit different, because my culture is not Islamic culture, so the way I would see it would be a little bit differently. But I must also respect the views of others.
How do you see it?
My view is that I wouldn't allow an underage person to get married.
You were once at the State House of Assembly, yes? You were once a member of the State House of Assembly, but the State House of Assembly now has not passed the Child Rights Act, the Kaduna State House of Assembly. Is it because of this, I don't know, that the Islamic law as regards marriage is liberal, or what is the issue surrounding that?
Well, there have been misconceptions about the Child Rights Act. There are, and not just Islam, you know, culturally. In Nigeria, people would like to spank their children. Our form of discipline is different. I'm from both religious perspectives, you know. Our ideas about how to bring up children are slightly different. And so there are those fears that the Child Rights Act is going to come and challenge or take away those practices that we are used to. So it's some kind of fear. I wouldn't say unfounded fear, but a misplaced fear. Now, I know that a lot of work has been done to address the concerns of people who have very strong religious views in terms of the Child Rights Act, and where we had gotten to was to have a balance. Unfortunately, when I was in the House of Assembly, actually no such bill was brought before us.
Okay, it wasn't there. The bill wasn't brought when you were there. It wasn't brought
while I was in the House of Assembly.
You had become Attorney General.
No, so even till now, I think the bill was brought there, if ever it was brought to the House of Assembly, before I was elected to the House of Assembly. But throughout my tenure, we didn't have the bill, we didn't have cause to debate it. A group came on advocacy visit. We met with the civil society groups that were interested in pushing the Child Rights Act. And somebody like me, I had hoped that, okay, if it comes, we would look at it. Unfortunately, we never saw that bill. Now, the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development is going through a process of updating that bill. Once they are ready, we'll work with them, the Ministry of Justice, to have a clean copy of the bill, hopefully, and then we'll take it to council, and then we'll see what the issues are. So it's an ongoing process for us right now, and I think that at the end of the day, we should have a bill that satisfies everybody. But I think the most important thing is to engage people sufficiently so that they are not afraid of what the bill is all about. When you take away those fears, then people will be able to receive it. It's like the issue of polio. our governor went somewhere to administer polio, the oral polio vaccine, and some people refused, you know, to take it, to allow their children to take it because they had particular views. The governor was very persuasive. Fortunately, he's a Muslim. He stood his ground, talked to the family concerned, you know, at great risk to his personal security, I should say. At the end of the day, was able to convince people in that community to accept the vaccine, and it was administered. So I think that government should not get tired of talking to people and trying to convince them to see the benefits of a particular piece of legislation or a particular government policy.
But what you say to us now is that there's no child rights bill pending at the State House of Assembly.
There is none right now.
That's been our interview and indeed the program for this week. You can catch any part of the program you missed by logging into youtube.com/channelsweb. Please send in any comments via email, Facebook or Twitter. I'm Shala Shayeli. Thank you for watching.